Hi everybody, I'm Kanalkanut.
And I'm Mr. Shoes.
And today we're back with another hiker grab bag. For those of you who don't know what this is our hiker grab bag. After our hike, we put all of our equipment into this bag, and now we're going through, taking one at random and giving the pros and cons and our thoughts on it.
What's that?
This is our med kit, a store of pills, medicine, BandAid,
The drugs,
deodorants, bug sprays, tick keys, everything that you need on the trail for any scratches, bumps, bruises that will occur on your hike.
We called it the Keystone because it was in that really key spot in the center of the pack for Kanalkanut's pack. I carried the food, he carried the first aid and repair kit. A lot of hikers, in the interest of weight savings, sacrificed carrying a comprehensive or even minimal first aid kit. If you've watched any of our other videos, have not sacrificed anything. And the first aid kit was one of those things that we had a comprehensive and robust first aid kit. Actually ended up helping out a number of other hikers in addition to ourselves.
When stopped at a little restaurant for lunch along the trail, we ran into a person whose trail name was First Aid Kit. And as you might know, trail names are given because of a certain uniqueness to you, and we were kind of stumped at why he would be First Aid Kit.
Kanalkanut turned to me and said, "Doesn't everyone carry a first aid kit?" Now our first aid kit changed from Springer to Katahdin. We replaced things, we added things, and it was a movable, malleable inventory of things that we thought were valuable to us and that we needed based upon things that occurred to us on the trail. Now, let's go down the list of ailments, maladies, and injuries that we encountered in our thru-hike.
Sprained ankles.
Sprained ankles!
Every day, alternating ankles. I believe it started on the right foot.
Right foot.
Right foot. And then that whole rest of the week, just spraining, alternating ankles.
It's a good bit of advice. You always want to start on the right foot.
Yeah. Before going into Mahusik Notch, Mr. Shoes broke his rib.
I broke my rib. Between the sprained ankles and the broken ribs, we had
tick bites.
Tick bites, which developed into
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease. Both of us. What else?
We had, in addition to those, we dealt with heat rash,
Poison ivy,
sunburn,
blisters,
chafing and friction sores,
cuts, bruises,
headaches,
diarrhea, which led to dehydration,
insomnia,
aches and pains,
fevers,
and a multitude of other ailments and maladies that we can't remember. We'll tell you what we couldn't live without, what we added along the way, and suggestions that you should bring along in your first aid kit. We pulled this out of our grab bag, but this is actually a grab bag in itself. We'll put a full list of our inventory in the description section of our video so that you don't have to pause and write down the things that we say. You can listen to what we have to say about these things, but you can also just take that list to your pharmacy or supermarket and get what you want and need. Just grab from the top. This isn't...
What? It's a grab bag.
Yes.
I don't know if you can read what that says, but it says buttworm. It's pretty self-explanatory. There are 4 little pills to combat buttworms.
It's not called buttworm, but pinworms are a small little parasite that can crawl up to your ass and can wriggle around and cause an itchy bottom. If someone gets pinworm in your family, the whole family has to take pinworm medication. It's 1 pill, it's chewable, it takes care of it. But if you're wiping your bottom, you're not cleaning your hands properly, and then you're eating food, you're opening yourself up to risks of parasites, and pinworm is one of those parasites. We brought along some buttworm pills, but you can see we didn't have to use our buttworm pills, but that's something that you can get over the counter in the UK. I'm not sure if you need a prescription in the US or elsewhere in the world.
This is our Pseudo Cream.
Pseudo Cream?
Baby cream.
It's a baby cream. You can see we did use quite a lot of that. This is probably the 3rd one that we went through. We carried small ones, but...
we used it to combat the chafing and friction sores that I mentioned earlier. You'd rub it on the affected area, and then that would help, lubricate?
It would help lubricate. It would help heal. We put it on overnight.
Made our skin baby soft.
Baby soft and also resilient. Kanalkanut would have heat rashes around where his hip belt rests. And at night we would put Sudocreme on before bed, and in the morning the rash would be gone. And it was really, really helpful. There's a reason they use it on babies. We recommend it. We're a couple big babies ourselves. And this is one of the most important things that we carried along the way.
It was about 6 o'clock.
It was 6 o'clock.
And we were just pushing 5 more miles on to the next campsite, and one of our hiking friends, a South African fellow, came by as we were applying Sudocreme because we were severely chafed, and to go the 5 miles we definitely need it. And he asked what we were doing, and we said just putting on some Sudocreme onto our chafing, and he went, ew.
It's a zinc oxide cream with some antiseptic. It's good for nappy rash, eczema, surface wounds, bed sores, acne, minor burns, sunburn, and I don't even know what that is. We had all of those things on that list and more, and this was a magic elixir. Cleared it right up overnight. I mean, some people, they don't like when creams are on them, especially when they're going to bed. Kanalkanut had a bit of a... Yeah. This is kind of gross at the beginning.
Get on my PJs.
Yeah, but at the end, I think you know, climbing into bed, you looked forward to the...
Okay, this Body Glide, this had a similar effect to the Sudocreme. You'd apply it quickly onto the affected area, and again, it would just lubricate it, make sure the friction wasn't happening, but it wouldn't heal the skin. It would just lubricate it, but have no effect on making it better.
That's a good point. The Body Glide we actually ended up sending home and just getting more Sudocreme, because the Sudocreme did double duty, and the amount of plastic for the Body Glide, we're not too weight conscious, but when we can, we toss things aside. So you can see actually this one is unused. So the Body Glide didn't pull double duty, and we ended up losing it. But Body Glide is something that a lot of hikers swear by. You can not only use it in the nether regions, but you can also use it on your feet and heels to get some blister prevention as well.
This is Zandu Balm. I believe it's similar to Deep Heat. I don't know if you guys have used that before, but for those of you who haven't, it's if you have a muscle ache or sore anywhere, you just get a little bit of this and you rub it on, and it's just like a massage.
And it sends blood to the area. It's something that osteopaths or massage therapists will put on you. You have to be aware of products like this. This is from India, and the Deep Heat and other products like this might have an ingredient in it that would instigate an asthma attack. So if you're asthmatic or you have respiratory issues, you might not want to use this product. We kind of had it with us. Sometimes we carried it with us, sometimes we sent it away. It's just something you might want to think about. This is a nice small little... The menthol was nice too. You could rub it on your chest if you had some congestion. So that was a good product as well. Let's see what other... I'm going to choose this time. Yeah. Alright.
Oh no.
This is Goldbond Medicated Powder. The thing about Goldbond Medicated Powder is we carried it in the beginning, and then we ended up just getting small travel sizes at like a Walmart or a pharmacy in town, using it while we were in town, and leaving it because it is quite a big bit of plastic.
Yeah.
And we had to keep it in its own Ziploc bag because
it would puff.
It would puff, yeah. And so even with the latch closed or the top closed, it would get everywhere. And it's medicated and has a scent to it, so that would attract animals and it would get all over our gear. It comes in 3 strength sizes. It comes in standard, extra strength, and maximum. This is extra strength, then maximum is blue. Our buddy Shakedown has a kind of man scale or a man counter. How does it? It's a masculinity scale.
Basically, the higher you go with the strength, the more masculine you are. He decided to start me out with the most powerful, the blue and red cap, and I didn't know what it was. And I applied it, and we were on the trail, so there was nowhere I could just sit down and ride it out. It was not nice. It was not a good introduction to Goldbonds.
It helps with foot odor as well, or the bacteria that happens in your shoes. But again, it is scented, and you want to keep that mindful.
It's a grab bag.
Alright.
As you know, hiking through the forest, you're going to come across a lot of bugs, especially in the really marshy, swampy areas.
And again, this is something that a lot of lightweight hikers will leave at home and they'll just endure the bug bites and they'll endure the discomfort, and that's fine. Being able to hike long miles and being comfortable is something that you need to decide how that is for you. And for Kanalkanut, spraying himself with a little bug spray around the ears especially, or on the brim of his hat, allowed him to go that little extra step further. So choose whether you want bug spray or not. It is something that we carried. This is a very large container. We have smaller containers. There's other gels and things that you can. We decided that the spray was the best because it wasn't something that we would get on our hands. We'd just spray it around our ears and our collar, maybe around our ankles, and we'd be off.
Just one more thing on the bug spray. When Mr. Shu says spray around the ears, I'd highly suggest doing that. In the deeper parts of Georgia, you're going to get these little tiny flying bugs that like to fly right up into your ear or just hover around them, and they sound like freight trains, and it's really hard to keep it cool while hiking when you've got that in your ear all day.
Another can. Sunscreen. Kanalkanut and I wore long pants, long shirts, and hats all the time. Even in the hot days. Our pants were light enough that they were wicking away heat and keeping us cool. Our tops were polyester and they went to our sleeves. We did not have to really deal with sunburn all that much, except around the ears, the brims of our noses, and the backs of our hands, hiking with our poles.
Yeah, I got a nice tan line on the trail where my pole strap went across my hand, and it sort of divided it in two. So putting sunscreen on helped.
Sunscreen is something that's extremely important. You want to make sure that you carry some with you, because when you don't have it with you and you're finding that before the canopy grows in the spring, even on those cool days, before that canopy grows, the sun is coming right down on you. You might not feel it until nighttime, and then the burn is there and there's nothing you can do about it. You could go back and put some Sudocreme on it. Prevention is better than a remedy.
This is our toothpaste.
That's our toothbrush.
We've cut down the toothbrush and sanded it to save a little extra weight.
Now that's something that you can do, or you can simply, when you're flying to Atlanta, take off the airplane a travel-sized toothbrush with a travel-sized toothpaste. Yeah.
These travel-sized toothpastes did us really well. They lasted us from town to town. We would always be able to stock up on more when we got there. One criticism that I have about the toothbrush, I'd always be brushing my teeth and the toothpaste would come down the brush onto my hands and I'd have to rinse my hands, make sure the smell wasn't on them, and genuinely it was just uncomfortable.
Doxycycline. Doxycycline is the recommended medication for the treatment of Lyme disease. We carried a 21-day course, which is the 21-day course that is required when you have onset of Lyme disease. If you can catch Lyme disease early and take a 21-day course of doxycycline, usually you catch it early enough to eradicate it, and you don't have the lifetime of disease, aches and pains, and debilitating ailments that follow with untreated Lyme disease. We spoke to our doctor before we left. We got a 21-day course because we said that we were going on a trek, and it's something that we carried with us. Around Daleville, Troutville, we realized that on our 0 day that Kanalkanut had developed a ring rash and he had contracted Lyme disease. So we started him on a 21-day course. Doxycycline, as your doctor will tell you, has to be taken with food. If you don't take it with food, what happens, Kanalkanut?
You violently throw up all around your campsite, which I learned the hard way. We were coming out of Troutville, day after a huge hailstorm. I took my doxycycline. I didn't eat my Rice Krispies treat, and Dad was like, you gotta eat, you gotta eat. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then not 5 minutes later, I was stumbling around camp throwing up everywhere, and everyone thought I had, what was it?
Norovirus.
Norovirus.
So not only do you have to worry about eating and not throwing up when taking your course of doxycycline, you have to worry about everyone thinking that you're a pariah or some sort of zombie who has the norovirus.
These are our vitamins that we took along the trail. Pretty self-explanatory. You're not going to have the necessary fruits and vegetables to give you the vitamins you need on the trail, so these will help you stave off a vitamin deficiency.
Painkillers. Now this bottle, which is pretty ragged right now, actually pulled double and triple duty. It had a painkiller that had a sedative for nighttime, say like a Tylenol PM or an Advil PM. It had a general painkiller, extra strength Tylenol. It also had ibuprofen or Advil or Motrin, whatever it is that you want to use as a vehicle for your ibuprofen. You want to be aware that if you're putting different medications in one bottle, that you're not taking one mistakenly. However, it saves weight and reduces bulk.
This is Superglue. It came in especially handy for Mr. Shoes when his shoes fell apart and he had to glue them back together, I think, twice.
It was also helpful with my shoe insoles because my insoles actually delaminated. Something a lot of people don't know is Superglue is used by the military as a suturing alternative. A serious wound can be sutured together with a regular BandAid and some Superglue. Sounds gross, it sounds dangerous, but the alternative to not using the Superglue means that you could bleed to death or get a serious infection. Superglue is something we carried along with us, and I think we ended up replacing it once or twice so that we had a fresh supply. Again, this is just regular sterile gauze.
These are our BandAids. Pretty self-explanatory with these. We carry two sizes. This was by far the most popular.
I'm opening this one up, even though it's a bit wasteful, just so that we can show you which one we chose to use. This one was a waterproof sport BandAid. It's not to be mistaken with the one that's a bit fabric-like. This is very much a plastic-coated BandAid with these fibers, these cross-hatch fibers. And so these are the recommended BandAids. We went through all different types of BandAids. These BandAids are the ones that we'd recommend. Find those and you'll be happy, and you will not have them peeling away and balling up in your shoes. We're getting there.
This is the Benadryl itch relief stick. I don't remember using it that much, but the times I did, it was a godsend. When you do get bitten by certain types of bug, you can develop really nasty itches that are just so distracting when you're hiking. I got a couple on my legs and arms that were really hard to walk with. Mr. Shoes gave me this, and within 5 minutes I was good to go.
Kanalkanut had a very acute sensitivity to these chiggers, these tiny little biting insects, and when he was bitten by them, he developed hives where they were bitten. When I was bitten by them, it didn't matter. It was a little bite, I'd slap it, it'd go away. But when he was bitten by it, it would hurt him at the time, and then it would develop into a rash. So having something to relieve that rash, like the itch stick, was something that Kanalkanut needed, but I didn't. It's another example of having something that's specific to your needs on the trail. Vaseline. We started with Vaseline. We used it for our lips. We ended up carrying smaller lip balm because the Vaseline did the same thing for us as the Sudocreme, but the Sudocreme also had healing properties.
So this is our antifungal cream. We used it all along the trail, actually, because we developed a severe case of athlete's foot. I'd get to the tent at the end of the day and I'd pop my boots off and I'd spend a good 5-10 minutes just scratching my feet, and Mr. Shoes would always say, "Is there something wrong?" I'm like, "No, it's just, working, you just gotta scratch it out." But then we found out it was athlete's foot, and I had got it severely, Mr. Shoes got it, and so this helped us get past that.
Not only did it help us get past our athlete's foot, which when you're walking in wet shoes and wet socks for 12 hours to 18 hours a day, you're going to be getting lots of bacteria in there, and there's a very real risk of athlete's foot. I developed a fungal infection in my belly button. So as Kanalkanut was in the tent scratching away at his feet, I was in the tent scratching my belly button. We looked at each other as if we were monkeys in a zoo, and when we realized that we were carrying an antifungal cream and we applied it at night, the next morning we were surprised to find that these things that were little annoyances had completely disappeared. It also should be said that you can use this in your unmentionables. Men and women get issues around their private parts, and thrush cream or antifungal creams can help in that. These are motion sickness tablets. You take a ride in a shuttle in the back of a pickup truck. You take a bus ride somewhere. You take a plane ride. I carried these along with me, and that was something that was important that I had along with us.
These are our antihistamines. We use them to fend off hay fever, allergy attacks. They also help with rashes. And I don't know if you can see that there, but there's a little 1-4H. Since we don't want to carry around the packaging for these, and the instructions are on the packaging, we ended up just writing it on the pill cases themselves.
That's a good idea, having the instructions written on the packs. Also, we carried antihistamines that would make you sleepy, and we also carried antihistamines that didn't make you sleepy. Making sure you know what your medications do and using the appropriate ones at the appropriate times is always good advice. Needle and thread. The number of times I use the needle and thread to repair shoes, packs, socks, anything that you can think of is innumerable. It's also innumerable the number of times that other hikers borrowed this from me. The needle broke a couple of times, so I made the habit after resupplies to have 2 needles just in case one broke. Having a repair kit or having something that just does a simple repair is very helpful, especially when you fall and you tear open the crotch of your pants. A simple repair is going to make it a lot easier for you, and you're going to be a lot happier.
This is our hand sanitizer. Again, pretty self-explanatory. You finish doing your business on the trail, you handle something particularly gross, you handle a hiker logbook, stay in the shelter, give a little squirt of hand sanitizer, rub it in, help prevent things like pinworm, other parasites, and keep you healthy on the trail so you can keep going.
Also, we recommend carrying an equal amount of liquid soap, biodegradable liquid soap. Don't wash in the water source, wash away from the water source. But having an equal amount of liquid soap means that you're going to get a more thorough wash. We also carry alcohol prep pads. Many people carry baby wipes. People leave baby wipes strewn on the trail thinking it's going to biodegrade. That is not in line with leave no trace principles. So if you're carrying baby wipes or some sort of wet wipes, you have to carry them out with you. And if weight is an issue for you, then baby wipes are less effective than soap and water, hand sanitizer, or some alcohol prep pads. This is just a little Ziploc bag of patches. A patch kit pulls double duty across the line. You can get a nice repairable tape, which is lightweight.
This is our tick key. Mr. Shoes pulled a tick out of his leg while visiting family. This is a very useful item to have, as if you do get a tick and you do spot it while it's in your leg or arm or anywhere, it's a safe way of getting the tick out without tearing off the head.
Ticks will release the Lyme disease they're carrying in their guts into your body if you squeeze their body. It acts as a hypodermic needle for the disease into your body. This tick key is an anodized piece of metal with a tapered hole, so any size tick can be pulled out very easily. We went ahead and put the instructions on the back to remind us how it worked because of how infrequently we used it. The folks in France have interesting tick keys as well. They have these little hooks with barbed ends in different sizes. We have 2 sizes of those. We also carried along a pair of tweezers, very fine sharp end tweezers, so that we can get splinters and other things that embed themselves into our bodies out as well. We also carried safety pins if we needed to pop any blisters. We carried a lighter to sanitize the end of the safety pins. We also carried an American dime, a torch on it. There, the nub of that torch there is the size of a deer tick nymph. And a deer tick nymph is what is going to transmit Lyme disease. So we carried a dime with us so that we can compare the size of the bugs that were on us and make sure that our tick checks at night were thorough and comprehensive.
This is pink eye medication. There is a big chance you will get pink eye.
It's one of those things that you don't think about when you're thinking about stocking your first aid kit. Pink eye medication is over the counter here in the UK. In the United States, you need a prescription. So if you want to plan ahead, the same way you're going to speak to your physician about getting a dose of Doxycycline, you might want to get a tube of pink eye medication as well. This is cold and flu medication. Sometimes you're going to get a fever, sometimes you're going to get really fluish, you're going to feel really unwell. We had a day cold and flu medication and a night cold and flu medication. The night cold and flu medication has a sedative, it helps you go to sleep. The day one has caffeine, it helps you keep going. And it also clears up any congestion that you might have, and it's a very helpful thing to have along. I carried 4 paper tubed Q-tips. Having Q-tips doesn't seem like a big deal until you really need a Q-tip.
These are antacids that my mom packed. And there's nothing worse than getting in your tent at the end of the day and having stomach issues and indigestion and all that, so these really helped.
Right. We made it, ladies and gentlemen.
Finally! Antibacterial ointment. This is extremely important for the aforementioned cuts and scrapes you will get, because you don't want to get them infected, prevent all the foreign bacteria that is on the trail from getting into it, keeps you healthy. I've been Kanalkanut.
I'm Mr. Shoes.
Everyone on the trail has their opinion.
And this is ours.
Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more.